What's going on, guys? Aero here, and welcome back to another video. Now in today's video, I want to talk to you guys about the potential Pokemon Diamond and Pearl Sinnoh remakes, and potentially a feature that may or may not be coming in these games. Now with the latest mainline Pokemon games, Pokemon Sword and Pokemon Shield, one of the biggest new features that was introduced into these games was the Wild Area. Now the concept of the Wild Area was something that longtime Pokemon fans have always wanted, where it's basically like a giant open world type of area where players can freely roam around in any direction and move the camera and freely look for Pokemon or items and just roam around and explore. And while the presentation of this may have not been the best,
what the hell is this?
The Wild Area was finally that taste of an open world type of Pokemon adventure that players have always wanted, where you can freely roam around and look for Pokemon. And they even introduced a brand new feature called Max Raid Battles, where you could find dens inside of the Wild Area and team up with players to be able to take down very powerful Pokemon. On top of that, with the Pokemon Sword and Shield Expansion Pass DLC, they even built on top of the Wild Area by having two more open world types of areas separate from the Wild Area, known as the Isle of Armor and the Crown Tundra. Both of these DLCs built upon the concept of the Wild Area and even added more features and things to do, which is what's making a lot of people think that maybe this could be like the future of mainline Pokemon games, and that's making people wonder, could it be possible that the Wild Area or something similar to this could appear inside of the Pokemon Diamond and Pearl Sinnoh remakes? And so that's what I want to talk to you guys about in this video. I want to talk to you guys about the concept of a wild area within the Sinnoh region, whether or not it could work, what are some of the areas where a wild area could appear, and whether or not I think if it is actually going to happen in the end or not. So yeah, let's get started. Alright, so in terms of having a wild area within the Sinnoh region and having like a big open space to roam around, inside of the region itself, there's really three big locations that come into mind as for where a wild area would most likely fit the best in terms of the Sinnoh region. Now this first location is basically the most important part of the entire Sinnoh region and what a lot of people really find memorable from the Sinnoh region, and that is of course Mount Coronet. So Mount Coronet is of course the mountain range that goes right through the middle of the Sinnoh region, and this is definitely a very important location within this region, as a lot of people are going to be always traveling through this location multiple times throughout your adventure, and it's like a really important part of the game because while you're adventuring through the Sinnoh region, you're going to be using Mount Coronet in order to get to new areas like Eterna City, and then from there getting to Hearthome City, and then coming back there and going into Celestic Town, and then after that using that to get to Spear Pillar. It's basically an integral part of the region that you're always going to be passing through multiple times. And it's because of this reason that turning Mount Coronet into an open world location, wild area type of environment would make a ton of sense, because the wild area inside of the Galar region was also a location that you went through multiple times while you were adventuring through the game. You went through it right into the beginning in order to get to Motostoke City, and then of course you went through it again in order to get to some of the other locations like Hammerlock. So it would make sense to have the Mount Coronet range become a wild area type of location, because you'd be going through it, like I said, multiple times, like getting from Eterna City into Hearthome City, then getting there to Celestic Town, then getting to like Spear Pillar. So making this into a large open like cave environment where you could look around and try to find different locations and secrets in there could be pretty cool if it is done correctly. And so in terms of the possibility of Mount Coronet itself becoming a wild area, I think that this is probably the least likely one, because this would definitely be the one where they'd have to spend a lot of time to make sure that it actually looks really good and actually works with the region itself. Like they'd actually have to do a lot of work in terms of like kind of changing the entire foundation of the Sinnoh region itself to make sure that the wild area with Mount Coronet fits into the middle of the region, and that there's spots to get to the other towns and cities, and there's still spots to get to Spear Pillar and all of that. So it would definitely require the most work. So that's why I feel like this is the least likely one to happen, but this would definitely be kind of the coolest one. But at the same time, like I said, they'd have to do a lot of work, and maybe if they don't want to make like the Sinnoh region into something kind of different for the old school fans, they're most likely just going to keep all of that kind of the same as the original games. And so instead of Mount Coronet, another area that would be a really good idea to have into a wild area inside of the Sinnoh region is actually right in Pastoria City, and that is the Safari Zone. So the Safari Zone is actually something that hasn't been present in many of the recent Pokemon games, but in the older games, Safari Zone was like a cool little area where you could find some pretty rare Pokemon, and of course the Sinnoh region had one in Pastoria City where you could find some rare Pokemon like Drapion and Tangrowth and Pokemon like that there, so it was actually pretty cool, and I feel like this would be a really good location to turn into a wild area, where basically in Pastoria City you go inside of the building, you let people go into the wild area after that, and it's basically like this big open environment that's there, and you can freely look around for rare Pokemon there. They could even have like the max raid dens there if they are bringing back Dynamax into these games. So that would be pretty good, and it would be separate from like the entire main adventure and the main story, so it would be kind of optional if people don't really want to have that interfering with their story. They could still play through the entire game without ever having to go through that. So it's actually a really good idea in my opinion. I don't think like a lot of people would be very upset with it, so I think that would be a really good idea for them to do. And then the last location that I feel like would also work with having a wild area type of open environment within the Sinnoh region is of course the resort area. Now the resort area is a special location within the Sinnoh region that's apart from the actual region itself. It's like its own special island, and it's a part of the post game of Pokemon Diamond and Pearl and Platinum, where basically after you defeat Cynthia and you become the champion of the Sinnoh region, you get to take a special ship from Snow Point City that takes you here, and this is where you can find like all of the big battle facilities like the Battle Frontier within Pokemon Platinum, but there's also other areas that you can explore like Stark Mountain, and it's because of that that you can find Pokemon like Heatran and catch them, and there's also other trainers to battle and a lot of stuff to do. And so I feel like turning this area into a wild area type of location would make a ton of sense. I think it would be really fitting because if they do bring back the Battle Frontier and they have different facilities, having all these different facilities kind of spread out throughout this big wild open type of area would be really nice. And then having like Stark Mountain that you can discover by yourself by exploring off and finding that there, and then finding Heatran and finding some other things. I think this could be a really cool type of little mini island to have into its own wild area, kind of reminding me of like the Crown Tundra or the Isle of Armor. So I think this would be really good because it would also be separate from the actual main adventure. So the traditional main adventure of Sinnoh would exactly still be the same as like the original games, but then of course this post-game area, which really isn't as important, would kind of get to be like this own new type of experience where you get to use this open type of environment and be able to explore and roam around. And this could also be where they decide to do like the max raid battles if they want to make that into like a post-game thing, if they bring that back. And also it would just be nice to have this as like the post-game area where you can roam around and just have more options to do stuff. And then the only other thing that I can think of is maybe they decide to have some sort of DLC where after the games come out, after a couple months later, they decide to reveal some DLC for Pokemon Diamond and Pearl Remakes that adds a new area, which actually is like an open wild area type of environment. So that way the games still stay true to their originals where they're kind of simple, but then after that there's additional content that kind of adds more of like the modern features like this wild area. I don't know though, but then again, it is something that they might do because they do love having like this DLC now. So I guess we're just gonna have to wait and see. But yeah, there you go guys, those are my thoughts on the possibility of having a wild area within the Sinnoh region. To be honest with you guys, I probably feel like it's not going to happen because they're probably going to want to try to keep these games as similar to the originals as possible. But then again, it does seem to be kind of like the direction that they want to go with, especially with the Crown Tundra. So I guess we're just going to have to wait and see. If you guys enjoyed this video, then definitely be sure to click that like button and also comment down below. Let me know what you guys think of this. Do you guys think that a wild area type of location could come within the Pokemon Diamond and Pearl remakes? Do you guys want it? Do you not want it? How do you guys feel about it? Definitely be sure to comment down below and let me know. If you're new to this channel, then please be sure to subscribe. I'm definitely going to have some more Pokemon content in the future, so definitely be sure to subscribe so you don't miss out on that. Click on that bell to become a part of the notification squad. Go follow me on Twitter at Aero so you can be featured in videos, and also join my Discord server as well. We've got a bunch of people in there who are always talking about Pokemon and Smash Bros and Nintendo, so definitely be sure to join that. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Thank you so much for watching.